The following program contains shocking challenges to Republicans. If you suffer from blind party loyalty, this show might not be right for you. Check with the Tea Party leader.
Standing for truth in the four corners of America. Fighting for justice on the frontiers of the culture wars. And turning resistance into an art form. The only TV host arrested more times than Mahatma Gandhi, Randall Terry.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you. Yes, it is I, your very own Psycho Boy. Can't you people insult me any better than that? Well, I feel it coming on. Oh, so close. We've got a great program for you today, ladies and gentlemen. Today's show brought to you in part by Charles Schumer. Remember, Schumer in ancient Egyptian means he that leads astray. And by Roadkill. Roadkill has more fight and more wisdom than the GOP leadership. I'm going to take a quick break, give my good friend Rusty Cowpoke a chance to say something, and then on with an inspirational show. Rusty, I have one word for you. Botox.
Hey, Mr. Boehner, I see you've been flapping your wings lately, but I tell you this, you got some chicken hawks flying around the chicken coop, and I'm sorry to say you're not one of them chicken hawks, but you're rather one of those little chickens. You think they can fly? No, that's all right. You just stay in that cage. Just pretend to fly, okay? Just pretend, along with the boneless chicken ranch manager. What's his name? McConnell. That's right. That's right. You two work together. Stay inside your cage, because I see some chicken hawks flying around. What are the names? Like Hoyer and Schumer. Yeah, watch out for them chicken hawks. Just stay in your neat little cage, okay? Don't move.
Welcome back to the program, friend. It is I, your servant, Randall Terry. We're going to have a very intense show designed to help you come away from your television, away from your computer, and into real battle. And of course, as always, we're going to lace it with a little bit of humor. So what do you get? Before I go to the really important stuff, what do you get when you cross Mahatma Gandhi with a thick Indian accent and British rock and roll star Joe Cocker? It goes something like this. I'm going to turn to this camera to give you the feel that we need. Ready?
Feeling all right. They bob their head like this when they talk. I'm not feeling too good myself. No, I need more chickpeas. I'm feeling all right. I am loving your country. I love the way you drive in America. I'm not feeling too good myself.
I do this because I can, because I would lose my mind if I didn't try and have a little bit of fun. Hey, speaking of losing my mind and having fun and impacting people around you, there's a proverb that says, the memory of the righteous will be a blessing, and the name of the wicked will rot. There are a lot of passages, both in folklore and popular history, as well as sacred history and in the scriptures, that talk about a person's legacy, what they leave behind, what people will be saying about them after they're dead, and what their life will say after they're dead. And then, of course, there's good people who leave behind a good message, and there's bad people whose name will rot. It will stink. People will use it as a curse. Not too many people name their children Adolf. Okay, you get the point? But in addition to there being people whose name is a blessing and whose name rots, there is a huge group of people, and I'm trying to get you out of this group, whose name is simply forgotten. Simply forgotten. And the reason is not because they were really good, not because they were really bad, but simply because they were really mediocre. Their lack of courage for righteousness kept them from being a righteous blessing. And of course, their lack of sinister, horrific, evil deeds kept them from having their name rot. But I submit to you that this country is dying for lack of people of the caliber of William Lloyd Garrison and Patrick Henry. Men and women like Katie Stanton or Susan B. Anthony, women who fought, for justice, people like Martin Luther King. We are in an hour when people like you and I spend dozens of hours per week in front of our televisions and in front of our computers, when in fact we might be better served and the country might be better served if we would spend some of that time in the public square. If we would be writing letters to the editor, holding press conferences in front of the offices of our elected officials, lobbying, giving speeches in public settings, preaching, going to Tea Party meetings and having your voice be heard, and then going out into the public square where it's not a ghetto and having your voice be heard. There are a lot of people that think that my words are too extreme. I'm going to show you something. Gary, can we get this over here, Andrew? Stay with me, Gary. Come over here. Go to the door. Go to the door, my friend. Look up here. This is the front page of the New York Times. Story about me. Front page of the Washington Times. Story about yours truly. Front page of the style section of the Washington Post. Front page of the Observer. We will make this a circus. Picture of yours truly. That's me dressed up like Obama. Front page of St. Augustine, Florida paper. Hardliner to softy. Another front page story from the Topeka Capitol. Terry demands filibuster. South Bend Tribune. I mean, these are a fraction of the stories that are out there. And I admit I use very intense rhetoric and sometimes very in-your-face actions. But we've done this to fight against child killing. We've done this to stand up against homosexual marriage. We've done this to say that Sharia law and Islam are a threat to American liberty and a threat to Christianity itself. And my words are heard. I know that there are a lot of people who don't like God's law. They are Christophobes. They're afraid of Jesus. All right? They're theophobes. They don't, I'm afraid of God. And not in a holy sense, because the fear of God is the beginning of wisdom. There are a lot of people out there who hate justice and righteousness as given to us by our Creator, and they hate me. And I count that a blessing, because the Scriptures teach us that when we're doing the right thing, that bad people are going to hate us. But tragically, there are some well-meaning people, claim to be Christians, claim to be pro-lifers, that, in my opinion, want to be nicer than Jesus himself. If Jesus of Nazareth, or John the Baptist, or Jeremiah, or Ezekiel, or Gideon, or King David, or any number of the heroes throughout the Old and New Testament or throughout Christian history, men like Justin Martyr, William Wallace, great saints who laid frontal attacks on paganism. If any one of those great men or great women were to come into their community or even into their churches and say the words that they said while they were here on this earth, there are Christian men and women who would be ashamed of them. They would be embarrassed. When Jesus started calling people tombs and brood of vipers, you snakes, sons of hell, throwing tables around, chasing people with a whip, there are Christian people who would grab him and say, Jesus, Jesus, you're making us look bad. We're Christians. Yeah, think of the comedy there. Thank you. Thank you for the obligatory laughter. It's time to stop trying to be nicer than Jesus. It's time to stop trying to be more politically correct than the heroes of our faith. If Patrick Henry and Thomas Jefferson took their leadership cues from some of our so-called moderate Christian voices on television, on the radio, online, in the fundraising letters, if those great men took their cues from some of today's Christian leaders, I can promise you this. We'd still be singing God Save the Queen, and we would not be celebrating the 4th of July. I don't know how I got onto all this, but I'm telling you right now, look at who your heroes are. Look at your heroes. And I don't mean sports figures, okay? I mean your heroes for ethics, for liberty. None of them are moderates. None of them pulled their punches. They all suffered. They all sacrificed. They all showed extraordinary courage at the exact moment when it mattered. Extraordinary courage when people were standing against them. We need a revival of that today. I went way longer in this than I anticipated. When we come back from this break, we'll talk about Japan. We'll talk about Charles Schumer trying to seduce John Boehner politically. It's very disgusting. It follows with yesterday's breaking news. Please don't go away, but think about it. Will your name be a blessing when you die? Will your name rot? Or will your name simply be forgotten because you spent too much time in the shadows, too much time in front of your television, too much time in front of your computer? I want, and more importantly, our Heavenly Father wants, that your name should be remembered as a blessing. I'll be right back.
If my cloud has a silver lining, it's only to store electricity for the lightning.
Moments with Moses. All the leading priests and the people likewise were exceedingly unfaithful, following all the abominations of the nations. And they polluted the house of the Lord, which he had hallowed in Jerusalem.
Welcome back to the program, friend. Let's go to today's top stories. Japan is literally, of course, in a meltdown. Literally tens of thousands of people still missing, many of them feared dead. Hundreds of thousands in temporary shelters with no heat. We have the meltdown apparently in progress in at least one reactor, and their economy is teetering on the edge of shambles. I again, as I did yesterday, invite you to pray for the victims there. And of course, you can call up the Red Cross if you want to make a contribution to help them. This could have very far-reaching effects for the entire world economy. The Japanese Nikkei lost over 20% of its value in just 2 or 3 days. It bounced back a little bit, around 6%, but investors all over the world are terribly nervous. And of course, way more important than the economic is the horrifying loss of life. Pray for our friends in Japan. All right, on to domestic news. Yesterday on this program, we had breaking news that the House leadership of the Republicans under John Boehner had been diagnosed and compared to a man who has one wife, 2 girlfriends, and a secret chat room friend that he visits with on the side. Well, Charles Schumer, the number 2 Democrat in the Senate, at least ideologically, the man who frames their ideological agenda and their rhetoric, told John Boehner, and I quote, "Speaker Boehner should consider leaving the Tea Party behind and instead seek a consensus in the House among moderate Republicans and a group of Democrats." Ladies and gentlemen, I told you yesterday, John Boehner is being tempted by Democrats. This is going to be really ugly and scandalous. Yes, and it's not going to be just scandalous. The Democrats want to be the other woman. It's going to be ugly if Boehner leaves his political wife. Oh, it's going to be a cat fight. They're so ugly. Meow, meow. Yes, it's going to get really ugly. John Boehner, think of who brought you into office. Dance with who brung you. Don't leave those pro-life Tea Party people behind. I predict, and I will do everything within my power to make it happen, please God, I predict a primary against John Boehner Yes, because Mr. Boehner doesn't get it. You know what? I have to be honest with you. We have to be honest with each other and with ourselves. Come here. Come here. John Boehner, he's part of the problem. Yeah, he always has been part of the problem. He's a part of the insider capital elites that got us into this mess to begin with. And once he realized that the Tea Party was sweeping him to power, he had to pretend to be the loyal husband to the pro-life, conservative, Tea Party, small government people. And he made promises. I promise to cut $100 billion, our pledge to America. I love you, darling. I love that red dress, by the way. And he doesn't intend to keep it. That's clear. So we've got the 3-week resolution, just passed again. We're going to have to fight longer and harder to stop the funding of Planned Parenthood, stop the funding of Obamacare, stop the funding of child killing in Obamacare. And then we've got Charles Schumer saying, yes, John, we're your friends, John. Come with us. I can't imagine Schumer's voice being the siren that would cause Boehner to crash on the rocks, but there it is. John, come with us. Come with moderate Republicans and with House Democrats. We're your future, John. John, we like you. Let me stroke your cheek, John. I've always loved you. I love the way you look in that suit, John. John. I'll take a break. I'll be right back. John. John.
A nation without a conscience is a nation without a soul. A nation without a soul is a nation that cannot live. Sir Winston Churchill.
Welcome back to the program, friend. And again, for the record, we want to thank Charles Schumer for confirming what we knew to be true, that Speaker Boehner is being tempted to fool around on the side with Democrats, with public opinion, that fickle little woman, and with the press. Come on, John, stick with us, please. I don't have much hope. All right, listen, hear me. I hope that you enjoy this show. I hope that it challenges you, but I want you to go from being a pew potato and a couch potato to somebody who makes a difference, from someone whose name will be remembered. So here are the 2 things that I want you to do. This is easy. Go to randallterry.com and click on the button that says Press Instructions. I want you to read them twice. They're not that long, all right? Read them and just say to yourself, could I do this? We've got another 3-week continuing resolution, and as you could see from the numbers, there were a lot of Republicans this time who jumped ship. Over 50 Republicans refused to go along with Boehner. That's way up from the first short-term continuing resolution. So we have the chance here to develop some momentum. But what will it take? It will take pressure. Do you realize that our team went to Cincinnati and Indianapolis and Dayton, and guess what? Got an enormous amount of press, and Michael Pence voted against this continuing resolution after our men were in Mike Pence's neighborhood talking to the press, getting newspaper, getting television. Are you hearing me? You can do this. You can do it. Go to Terrycast or to randallterry.com and look at the little line that says press instructions. That's number 1. Number 2, go to Terrycast and send a letter, a personal letter from you to all House freshmen, a fax. Send a fax to all House freshmen that tell them vote no to the next continuing resolution. And number 3, I got to make this quick, consider running for office in a primary. I'll be right back.
May his days be few. May another seize his goods. May his children be fatherless and his wife a widow. May his children wander about and beg. May they be driven out of the ruins they inhabit.
George Washington said, perseverance and spirit have done wonders in all ages. Friend, I want to again encourage you, go to randallterry.com and look at the press instructions. And next, consider running in a primary in 2012. Even if you don't win, if you show pictures of the babies and you talk about marriage and you talk about the debt and you talk about Islam, it's a great victory for truth.